Phil recruited me to sell these cards, and now I am recruiting you.
Who is this guy again?
Don't worry about Phil. He drives a Corvette. He is doing just fine.
What up? Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. How are we doing? Hello, hello. Oh, Bubba's awake. Hi buddy. So cute. I forgot to set up the Bubba cams, so the tripod is all the way over there. Anyway, hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hi if you're new here, hi if you're not. If you are new here, I'm sorry for this unmade bed behind me. What's up? Happy to be back. It has been, I guess I went live last week, but I haven't been in my office for over a month. So it feels good to be back. Just working out some technical difficulties. How's everybody doing? I don't have the chat on screen here. Let me figure out how to pull that up. Awesome. Welcome. Amanda, I'm here on time. Yes, you are. Get ready to hate it here as much as I do. Okay, there, I think we're good. I feel like even though I streamed last week, I am so rusty. Even like getting the camera and everything set up, I was like, what am I doing? Help me. If you haven't seen from the title, the thumbnail, we're going to be listening to an episode of the Life Coach School podcast today. So looking forward to that. Let me just adjust this a little bit. Okay. I think I'm going to grab the tripod so we can set up the Bubba cam. So please bear with me. How is everybody doing though? What is our beverage of choice today? I'm back on my President's Choice branded sparkling water. It has been a wild time over here. I was traveling for like the last month and I'm just so grateful to be home and to not have any plans to go anywhere for the foreseeable future. Welcome, Monica, Hillary, Alexis. Let's get rich. Today we're going to learn how to bust through our fear-filled, if you will, mindsets. Learn how to face our fears, get out of our comfort zone. All of that good stuff. So if that sounds good to you, this is the podcast episode for you. Okay. Should I have set this up earlier? Yes. Did I? No. If you're watching the replay, I don't know, skip ahead a few minutes. You know the drill. Okay, let's see if that worked. There he is. Okay. Suzanne, you made it. Welcome. I wasn't sure if you were going to come on or not. So I am happy to see you here. Zip1717 celebrates 10 months of membership, 10 months of coaching coaches to Delusion. I love to see it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting the membership here on the channel. Appreciate you. Appreciate all of you. If you're watching the stream, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Unless you're not having a good time, then give it a thumbs down. That is the benefit of being able to share our opinions on the internet. Good or bad. We appreciate your hard work to display our boy Bubs. He's already sick of it. You know what? Bubba's been having a sad day. My mom was here staying with him for the last month while I was out gallivanting. And she left this morning. That's why the bed is unmade, because I haven't washed the sheets yet. And she slept in them last night. But Bubba's feeling a little sad that his best friend is now gone and he's stuck here with me. Yes, I always forget that some of you are in Australia, so it's already Tuesday. How does it feel to live in the future? Let us know. Okay, let's just go ahead and switch screens here. We can jump into what we all gathered here today to do, because that's enough yapping from me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure I'm going to have a lot to say, but I haven't actually listened to this podcast episode. There, I fixed it. That's better. But someone submitted it to the reaction form. So if you're not familiar, maybe you're new here, I have a form linked in the description of all of my videos where you can submit content for me to react to. And so a couple weeks ago now, I went through and actually made like a spreadsheet of all the different content and like what would be good for a live stream, what would be good for a reaction video, that kind of thing. And anyway, this was submitted to that form a couple of months ago, so I'm finally getting to it. The future is looking good. Is it rich? Have you made $1 million yet? That's what I want to know. So anyways, we're going to listen to this episode, then we'll see where it goes. I have some other content we could potentially react to depending on how much time this takes, but this is like an hour long. So I'm assuming it's going to take us the full 2 hours because I have a lot to say, as you well know by now. Okay, before we get into it, I just have one simple request, and that is...
Raise your hand if you want to get rich.
Who's ready to get rich? Let me know in the comments. Let's go ahead and jump in. I'm already going to speed up the playback just because, you know, that's what I like. So let's go.
You're listening to the Life Coach School podcast with Brooke Castillo, episode number 524.
Welcome to the Life Coach School podcast.
Probably going to get copyrighted for that. Let's skip the intro.
First of all, you have to know this about Stacey. For those of you who haven't listened to the podcast that she's already been, maybe some of you don't know who she is. She runs a very successful company that teaches life coaches how to make money. And so she is in the business of helping people build businesses. And I have been thinking
Okay. I do want to make a quick disclaimer before we get too far into this. Any of the commentary that I make in these live streams is never about these particular individuals so much as like why I believe the things that they're saying are problematic. All of this is just my opinion. But I will say the thing about the particular coach that's being interviewed in this specific episode that irks me the most is, well, first of all, she runs a massive coaching program that essentially perpetuates the model of coaches that learn how to coach other coaches to coach other coaches to coach other coaches, which in itself, I think most of us who have been here a long time know that that's problematic, in my opinion, just because there's no like end client. We're all just like coaching people on the concept of coaching, but never actually doing the real life coaching. Anyway, I digress. The particular individual being interviewed is notorious, and we've covered this in other live streams, so you can go ahead and watch those if you're new. But this person is notorious for saying that she built a 6-figure life coaching business when I have yet to ever see proof that she did that. All she's done is build a multiple $1 million coaching business where she coaches other coaches. Again, show me proof if you have it. Someone please link me to something like a podcast episode, maybe a blog post she's made, I don't know, where she shows how she made 6 figures delivering actual life coaching to clients. Because from what I understand, she has only ever made 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, etc. from coaching other coaches. But again, if I'm wrong, please prove me wrong. I always welcome the feedback. So I just wanted to kind of establish that before we get too far into the episode, especially if you're not familiar with this particular individual.
a lot about this lady. I've been thinking about you, lady, but I've also been thinking about this lately because I am really working with my alumni right now and really trying to help them kind of get out of being stuck in some areas and like grow. And one of the things, and I think you can speak so beautifully to this because you work with students that are in all phases of growth, right? So she has a program called 2K for 2K, which is for brand new life coaches that want to make their first $2,000. And then you can graduate to her 200K program where your goal is to make 25K to 200K, right? Yeah. And then the next one is 2 million. And I mean, who doesn't want to make 2 million? And this is all per year, my friends, per year. And
everyone should want to make millions.
And so I just feel like you have such an extraordinary vision. You're able to kind of see all the different phases of growth and the things that people struggle with. And you're an expert with helping them overcome their obstacles. And I know that you're very dedicated to helping people who want to make millions of dollars serving the world do that. And as I've been thinking about this a lot lately, I've been thinking about you too, right? Because I also have the perspective of watching you help students, but then I also have the perspective of you being my student.
Yeah.
Right? So watching you kind of go through this whole process and now you helping other people go through this process. So especially in the beginning, what I have noticed is that we have a lot of people that come to us who want to become coaches because they have this discomfort inside of them that's calling them for more. Many of them are in jobs they don't like, or they're not working, or they don't feel purposeful in their careers. And so there's like this like nudge, right? And it's enough of a nudge that they're willing to sign up for a course and kind of explore the possibility of maybe, right? And then you get into it and you start building your business, and there's a whole nother layer of discomfort, right? So I've been exploring this a lot. Like there's the discomfort of not growing, right? Because you're being stagnant and you're not pursuing your desires or your dreams. And then there's the discomfort of showing up and trying to do that. Okay. Yeah. And so I watch people, and I know you do too. I watch people, they're like, I'm uncomfortable. I can't wait to become a coach. This is going to be great. And then they start trying to build a business and they're like, oh my God, this is hard. This is challenging. This is really uncomfortable. I'm going to go back to when I wasn't uncomfortable. Even though they were uncomfortable, it was a different thing. And
okay. I can see already. We're 4 minutes in, and I can pretty much guess where this episode's going to go. I think there is something to be said, whether it's like in the coaching industry or just like in life in general. There is value in doing like uncomfortable things, in trying new things that are unfamiliar to us, in like stretching what we feel comfy doing, taking risks, doing things that are scary. Sure. I've experienced a few of these situations in my life where I was at a crossroads and had to make a decision. And sure, good things have happened from those choices. However, I am hesitant to buy into these conversations when they're coming from this particular sort of space. Just because I think a lot of the times that narrative of take more risks, do things that are scary, stretch your comfort zone can be twisted to manipulate you to give people a bunch of your money. Like, I think when you're hearing advice to step outside your comfort zone, my phone. When you hear that advice, you need to ask yourself, does the person that's giving me this advice have something to gain from telling me to step outside my comfort zone? Like, I'll just pick on someone random in the chat. I see Monica here is saying word salad. If Monica came to me and she said, Danielle, I'm faced with these two choices, choice A or choice B. Choice A is what I'm familiar with, but I'm thinking about trying this new thing, choice B. What should I do? If I were to give Monica advice and say, you know what, why don't you try something new? Why don't you step outside your comfort zone and go with choice B? I don't have anything to gain from Monica listening to my advice or not. When it comes from people who want to make money off you and they're telling you, stretch your comfort zone, make a big investment even though it's scary. Obviously, they want you to make that choice because they want your money. So it's just something to keep in mind as we move into this episode, because I feel like it's going to be really heavy on the do scary things, step outside your comfort zone. I don't necessarily disagree with that mentality or that mindset, but when the person has something to gain from you in getting you to follow that mindset, that's where I think we need to be careful. I'm just catching up on the comments here. Yeah, just be comfortable with not getting a return on the money you gave us. Exactly. Step outside your comfort zone by making my financial situation more comfortable. Hashtag give me your money. Exactly. So be careful who you take advice from on the internet or in life in general. Does that person have something to gain from you listening to what they say? Just saying.
So people are like, I just want peace. I just don't want to be uncomfortable. And I just want to calm my brain down. Right. And so I've been pondering the question, even for myself, for you, like knowing your history, how do we reconcile the discomfort of growth and pushing ourselves to our dreams and the next level and seeing what our capacity is, and also being at peace in our lives and feeling a sense of peace? So I'm just curious, maybe you could speak about your personal experience first, and then we can talk about our students and how we can help them. Yeah.
So this is the first thing that comes to mind because, so for people who don't know my background, I, in a very short little blurb, grew up very lower middle class. My dad was a factory worker, maintenance man. My mom stayed at home with us most of the time. And my siblings and I were the first to ever go to college. Then I got out of college and I wanted to pursue acting, so I thought. And I really like struggled for about 10 years with watching everyone else that I knew have what I thought was even like the supposed to things, right? The house, the family,
things, yeah.
supposed to things, right? The house, the family, the kids, all the things. And I was like living this alternate life of I've never figured out kind of how to grow up. I was actually really good at what I did. I would sell mops and slicers in grocery stores and Walmarts and all of the things. And I was the best in the like top in the industry. But I didn't know how to manage my money. Everything was like my whole life just felt very, very difficult. I couldn't figure out the equation to saving money, paying things on time, arriving places on time. Life was just sort of always happening to me. And it was very, very painful. And I do remember being the height of this is the moment I realized I needed a change is I was selling knives in a Yonkers department store in Appleton, Wisconsin. And I made $10,000 that week selling knives in this department store. And I was miserable. I was
You made $10,000 personally?
Yes.
Oh,
Personally,
okay. Nice.
Like cash in the bank.
Okay.
$10,000 in a 5-day period. And I was miserable. I was like crying in my car afterwards. And I remember thinking like, there's no way this is the purpose of my life. Like,
Oh, right.
to sell some
in Yonkers.
selling. Yeah. Like, this can't be it. And everything in my life felt extraordinary. I mean, everything was hard, just everything. And so the answer to your question is one of the things I will say is where I am now, there have been so many things that were so hard that I tackled.
Yeah.
I look back and I'm like, how did I do that? And also, so like I recognize how
Okay, what is with Brooke like cackling in the background the entire time Stacey is telling her story? If I was in Stacey's position and I was sharing, my background story and the podcast host, regardless of whether it's my mentor or anyone, they're cackling at me, I would be like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm leaving. Bye.
how difficult it was. But I think back to, and I think this is what people have to have as perspective. When I think back to the difficulty, the type of difficulty that I was in and the quality of my overall life at that time.
Yeah.
Yes, they were both hard, right? It's hard to like invest money that you don't know where you're going to get it from. It's hard to walk up to a person and say, hi, I'm a life coach.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain to people what life coaching is. It's hard to hear no. It's hard for people to comment on a post and say, who do you think you are to be helping someone change their life, right? All of those things are hard, but it's much, much more difficult every day to feel heavy because you're not living life the way that you imagined you would be living it or the way that you want to live it. So I have my students a lot of times, like we lie to ourselves, right? We say, I was just coaching someone in my $2 million group on this, that she's like, I don't want to go to the millions anymore. I don't think because I've just become a mom or I am a mom. And
yeah, I just want peace.
It's so hard. Yeah. I just want peace. And I've done this myself. We lie to ourselves about what the peace will be like.
Right.
And so I've thought a lot about this on my journey to be a mom because my brain told me 100 times, like, you just become a stay-at-home mom, give up the business, dial it back, do all the things. And I went back and forth for a long time.
Yeah.
And we lie to ourselves. We tell ourselves that it's so much better where we currently are, ignoring all of the pain points.
Yep.
Then we don't consider any of the good things that would come with our growth and only the bad things.
Right.
So taking the good from where you are, the bad from where you want to go, ignoring the good of where you want to go, and ignoring the bad of where you are. And that, I think, is the equation.
Yeah.
You have to be honest about all aspects of it. Like for me, that's been a huge difference every step of the way is like, oh, it's uncomfortable to put a lot of money on my credit card to make an investment. Well, it's also uncomfortable to be selling slicers for the rest of my life.
Well, so I have people come to me and they're like, I want to do this business. I'm very excited about this business, but I haven't done anything on this business. And it's always so puzzling to me when people say that. I'm like, well, how can I help? I don't know. I don't know what
they're waiting for a thought. They're waiting to feel more courageous, or they're waiting for it to feel easier before they take action.
Exactly. And so it's like the way that I kind of describe it is, you have to put yourself in harm's way. And what I mean by that is like emotional harm's way. You're going to be afraid. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be confused. You're going to be overwhelmed. Like, sign up now. This is what we're signing up for in order to be entrepreneurs. And so I was talking to someone about this and she was like, I just don't know if it's worth it. I just don't know if going after this dream of mine is worth it. And it's
I just don't know if it's worth it. Okay, well, let me manipulate you, allegedly, into giving me all your money because for me, it's worth it. If you sign up, it's worth it for me because, honey, she's charging like $25,000. So, like, let's go. I got bills to pay. You know what I'm saying? Marie here says, investing money you don't have is a good way to be heavy and stressed out. Exactly. Talk about out of your comfort zone and into turmoil because your credit card debt is racking up, baby. Exactly. Put yourself in harm's way. Saying the quiet part out loud. The harm is in losing your money by paying for this thing. You guys are killing me. Investing in a business should involve a return on the investment at some point if it's going to be worth it. Exactly. That's the thing I think that's so risky. Again, having or saying this as someone who has spent my money on a coaching program, I think it's so easy to basically get indoctrinated into the industry as a whole, but into this idea that giving a mentor a large sum of money is an investment and you're going to get a return on it, when, as we've seen time and time again on this channel and in countless threads on Reddit, a lot of the time there's no way to really quantify that the money you made in your business is a result of that investment, but also a lot of the times you just don't get anything at all. It's the visible ick after she said you have to put yourself in harm's way. Just got out of the pool. Oh my God. What's it like to live such a luxurious lifestyle where we just leisurely float in the pool? Let us know in the comments.
Exactly what you said. It's because she's imagining all the hard work. She's imagining all of the discomfort. But then when I asked her, I'm like, but if you knew you were going to win, if you knew that you were going to be able to have this business where you're helping people and doing all the things that you want to do, would you be willing to do that? And she's like, yes, absolutely, 100%.
But even if you don't know that you're going to win, imagine the feeling of knowing you at least tried.
Right.
That feeling feels so different
try.
than I thought about trying, right? Like, I think everyone that is in that boat has to try it on, the thought, and feel into what the experience is like in your body.
I was trying to pause it. There it is. Okay, so imagine what would you do if you knew you were going to win? Wait. Okay, maybe you're not going to win, but at least, even though you're out $25,000, at least you tried, right? Everyone in the chat who's had a bad experience investing in a coaching program where you didn't get a return on your investment, don't be upset about it, guys. At least you tried. Oh my God, why didn't I think of this sooner? I should have reframed my investment as at least I tried. You know what? At least I gave that lady in 2018 almost $5,000 because I was trying and she was trying too. Not very hard, but at least we tried, right? Marie says 9 months of membership. No investment should put your business at risk. That is great advice. Very, very true. I hate it here if I haven't said that already today.
To think about trying.
Yeah.
Like, how does that feel for you if you think about trying? Like for you, Brooke, if you were going to think about trying.
Amazing.
Always. No, thinking about trying.
I don't know what you mean.
Interesting.
No,
like, you're, like I might try. I'm stuck. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to try. I'm trying. Yeah, like I might become a life coach.
But I don't think that way.
Right, but so many people do. They're trying on this idea of maybe I will. I mean, I get a lot of these conversations in my inbox.
I see what you're saying. It's kind of like that miserable maybe. They haven't committed to trying yet. Is that what you mean?
Right.
Oh my God. I can't even, like, the two of these people. Well, I don't know what you're saying. Oh my God.
Right. Yes. Like commitment means I'm going to go all the way through. Like I'm going to keep trying. Like I'm going to try once and then I'm going to try again and I'm going to try again and I'm going to try again until I get it.
Yeah.
That feeling, if you think about a fail that you've had,
yeah.
And I have a whole thing that I could go into with that. But if you think about how it feels in your body once you've failed and then you've decided to pick yourself up and go again, that exact emotion. And you compare that to thinking about maybe doing something.
That's so...
Okay, but is it considered failure if I didn't get what I paid for? Is that like some kind of mental gymnastics reframe that I got to do? So if I spend money in a coaching program and I don't get the deliverables, the promises that this coach had made to me, they don't work out, at least I tried. But also, like, is that what she's talking about? I don't get it. I love this comment from Hillary. Wow, at least I tried spending $30,000 on coaching. I feel so blessed. That's right. You should feel so grateful. Anyone who's gone into, even if you've gone into debt, you paid in cash, doesn't matter. So grateful for the opportunity to give your money to these grifters, allegedly, in my opinion.
Good.
getting back up versus I'm thinking about doing something. One
about
feels
getting up.
so much more active in your body, so much more
Yes.
engaged. I think that we forget that on the way to success, all the failure that stacks up on our way, that makes us feel the most alive we've ever felt. Like I will never feel more alive than when I was doing a consult with you to go to the life coach school in the parking lot of a Walmart. That moment, that going for it. Like I was listening to your podcast that dropped today and you were talking about Byron Katie. I remember the moment where I was driving, listening to Byron Katie's book. And for the first time, hearing the idea of a turnaround.
Yeah.
And I'm like working so hard in my life, like the grind of showing up to those Walmarts. And I would cry in my car for 20 minutes before I convinced myself to go walk into a Walmart.
Yeah.
And then I remember what it felt like to have that feeling of I'm going for this. I'm going to teach this to people. I'm going to figure this out. That feeling is so, even when you're failing, it's so much better than the alternative if you really check into your body.
I totally agree. But that is if you want to feel alive. You want to feel the breadth of the human experience. And I think that so many of my students, so many people are not conditioned to embrace that, right?
Yeah, guys, if you don't get the results you paid for, it's because you're not embracing the human experience. Life is full of disappointment, and so you have to allow yourself to feel disappointed. And I can be the one to help you do that. Just give me all your money, and I will teach you how to experience true disappointment. Okay, Monica said, what the hell is she saying? To which Hillary replied, she's saying if you invest in my program and don't succeed, keep re-enrolling until you do. I love it. Jen, so nice to see you. Welcome, welcome. Agreed. Suzanne says they talk over each other a lot. It's hard to listen. That's what I'm saying. It's like, are you even actually listening to each other if you're just talking on top of each other? I don't get it. They could try to actually run a business of integrity and try to offer realistic services and refund options where they are accountable. Actually, no, we're not going to do that because then we wouldn't be stinking rich, okay? Hopefully you can understand.
It sounds like a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yes, thank you. You will get rich quick. We all will.
We're all going to get rich if we just don't give people refunds, obviously. "100%. Marie, this is a really great point. Marie says, also, I know I'm a bit flippant about the stupidity of them. Just know I'm not judging anyone that has listened to them before. They are masters in manipulation." Thank you for reiterating that. Really, I think that the intention of any of the commentary I do on this channel is never to, hopefully, make people feel like they're stupid or feel shame in having listened to these people and like bought into what they were selling. So much as to just like make light of the fact that like I was one of these people. I used to listen to the Life Coach School podcast anytime I had to drive anywhere. I would take Brooke's word as gospel, and that was really like one of the catalysts that led me into the coaching industry. I never trained under the Life Coach School. I never paid for any of her programs, so I don't have direct experience. But just know that like my commentary comes from a place having been someone that bought into these narratives and believed these types of stories and this type of rhetoric. And so it's never coming from a place of judgment so much as just like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's what I will say.
Sense of fear, discomfort, or humiliation, or embarrassment, or frustration, or whatever, is like a stop sign for so many of us. It's like, I just want peace. I don't know that I want growth. And so here's what I was thinking. I'm curious what you think about this, because peace to me is how I feel when I have truly laid it all out. Like the most peaceful I ever feel is when I know I'm living in integrity. I'm telling myself the truth. I'm doing the hard things, and I can stand by my own life.
Okay, whose truth are you telling? I know I'm living in integrity when I'm telling my truth. Okay, but is your truth the truth? Or this is giving like the Ruby Frank video we reacted to. I just want to know, if you're living in integrity because you're living in your truth, what about the actual objective truth? That's what I want to know about, because I don't think that you're living in that, allegedly, in my opinion, but I'm just a girl on the internet, so what do I know?
Like, I'm impressed by my own work and who I am. That is the most peaceful I ever feel, but it comes from the growth. And I can't have peace with growth still left inside me.
So do you want to know what I think peace is?
Yeah.
I think it's knowing who you really are.
Ooh, tell me everything. I love this. I think that's what I think it is too.
Yeah. I think we're going to say the same or similar things just differently. But I teach a lot of my clients, I teach them the idea of high value cycles and low value cycles. And a low value cycle is when you're failing and just like smacking your face on the ground, basically. That's how it feels. Someone said in one of my calls this week, I'm such a loser. And I was like, yeah, that's a low value cycle when you just think you're such a loser. And one of the things that I don't think we think about, and going back to also feeling alive, is that there is an opportunity to feel the most alive when you are winning at something you really want to win at. And there's also the opportunity to feel the most alive, to feel the most human in your deepest pain, sorrow, grief, disappointment.
Yes.
Right? Like I remember feeling so heartbroken in my life once that I have never felt more alive because I was in so much pain.
Yes.
It was like the human experience had become excruciating for me.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about, call it being intimate with yourself in your low value cycle.
Yeah.
But I think we can be intimate with ourselves when we're winning, and we can know who we are when at our highest self. But if you know who you are in the trying and the failing, if you are kind to yourself or learn to be kind to yourself in the failing, if you learn who you are, how you react to your emotions, when you can take care of yourself and process your emotions, when you have explored everything you deeply desire in your life, and you are either working towards it actively or you've achieved it and you're coming up with new things, that is knowing yourself very, very deeply. I would say before coaching, before I found you, I did not know myself, which is why my life was so chaotic, why it was so hard to live, as I was with a partner that was not a great fit for me.
I did not know myself until I joined a, allegedly, in my opinion, cult. And then I listened to your word as the truth. And now I live my life based on the principles of your teachings. And I know myself. I know myself so well because of you and what you taught me about myself. Now I know myself. That's what I heard anyway. Scary, my guy. So scary. I'm not sure. Hillary is asking, is Stacy still one of Brooke's clients? Is she also working with Mal, or did that end? I don't believe she is Brooke's client anymore, but I could be wrong. I don't keep close enough tabs on these people. The reasonable expectation is a coach won't make you feel alive by putting you at the lowest point in life. Yeah, I think that's a really important piece, again, that comes up a lot in my content, is this idea of like, very rarely do people buy into these programs and offers when they're like riding the peak of their life. Like if everything in my life is going great and my business is growing and I'm having a really good time, chances are I'm not going to be like seeking out a high ticket mentor to help me reach that next level. A lot of the times you hear stories of like, I was on food stamps and I was down to my last $10, or my business wasn't making any sales and I didn't have a customer for 6 months. So I hired this coach and now my life is so great. It's like, can we just take a step back and analyze what's happening here? Are we being taken advantage of because we're in a vulnerable position? Maybe. Welcome, Julia. So happy to have you here. Exactly. Suzanne says, I used to find this episode so compelling. I honestly couldn't see it was just a thinly veiled sales pitch. Now that I see it, I can't unsee it. That's how I feel about like all coaching content in general. Like even I'll be like on TikTok, just doom scrolling, and I'll come across a video that I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool, like inspirational, whatever. And then at the end, they're like selling me something. And I'm like, holy shit, this person is like a whatever coach. And they're selling me nonsense. And I almost fell for it. Okay, let's see.
I was in a job that wasn't a great fit for me. I was living in an environment that wasn't a great fit for me. I was tolerating things that weren't good fits for me, having relationships with people that so many of my relationships were built on someone being the advisor of me and my mess.
Yeah.
Right. Now my relationships are built on us enjoying each other's company, right? Having
Right.
things in common, loving each other, respecting each other, thinking highly of each other, wanting the best for each other. So I don't think if you're living in an unintentional life, if you're not going for the biggest things, if you're not allowing yourself to be experiencing who you are, going after the things you love, winning at the things you love, failing at the things you love, it's really hard to know yourself as a complete person.
That's
Yeah, so if you're not doing the things you love, pay me your money and I'll teach you how to do the things that I love. AKA, I can live a really good life and you, we'll see, 50-50 on my workout.
so insanely good, because when I really pay attention to myself and when I really get to know myself is when I'm going through the hard stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
when I'm like, yeah.
I just came out of 2 years of really struggling with some really public criticism that I had gotten. And it was so challenging for me. It was I talked to you about it over dinner. It was one of the most challenging things I've ever encountered in my business. I am such a people pleaser, even in my personal life. So when people are upset with me, I'm definitely awake at night about it. And being able to see people's thoughts that aren't even remotely true and being able to sit with other people hearing about them and then hearing people's thoughts that are true and I need work and like the areas like pointing out the things that I have missed. All of those things, that 2 years was the hardest literally maybe of my whole life. And also I got to know myself more than ever. Like there's no other experience that could have helped me learn myself more deeply.
It's so interesting. I was just listening to Alex Hormozy talk about this, and he was talking about how human beings are just not designed to get this much feedback. So
I agree. I
And
agree.
they're-
Oh.
Right. And so publicly, like in your face, it's so interesting. So the work that we have to do to like manage that is so awesome. But I was just talking to Christian about this. So I just went to a golf tournament with him, and it was like a 5-day golf tournament. So the first 2 days he played really well, and the third day he didn't play well at all. We were like, what just happened? Right. Golf is such a terrible sport, in case anyone's wondering. It's like, imagine having your best coaching day, the next day your best coaching day, and then all of a sudden third day you completely forget how to coach. You're like, I don't even know. I've forgotten everything. So that's what happens in golf. And he was so bummed out about it. And I was like, Christian, most people are sitting on the couch. Most people are not putting themselves out there in front of a bunch of people trying to play golf at the level that you are.
Yeah, guys, most people are losers sitting at home watching little dumb idiots on the internet live stream on YouTube. Can you believe it? Can you guys believe that people spend their time sitting on their couch, their bed, their computer chair, watching people on the internet? What a bunch of freaking losers, right? Totally just absolute embarrassing.
Have to like keep our perspective when we're failing, when we're getting it wrong, when we're stumbling, like you said, smacking your face on the ground, when no one's showing up to your consults or whatever. You have to remember it's this or the couch, and the couch is not where peace is.
No.
People think hiding is where peace is, but think of how you feel when you're hiding.
Yo, I feel pretty good when I'm sitting on my couch. I got a nice little, cozy drink. Maybe I'm sipping on a tea. Maybe I'm sipping on a little crispy Diet Coke. I'm feeling pretty good. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think this woman has a very comfy couch if she's trying to tell you it's not a good time, because I have a really good time on the couch, let me tell you.
Yeah.
You feel scared, right? So I feel like, for me, my main kind of message that I want to encourage everyone to do, because I want to sell people on the ultimate life that they can have by exploring the depth of their own capacity, is the willingness to disturb your peace just a little bit. And I think it even works with the definition that you gave, right? It's not knowing who you are for a second, because you're straddling two identities. You're like, is this even possible? Do I even believe in this? Can I actually do this? And people will say all the time, like, so you're just telling me just to believe in this. And they can't like wrap their mind around it. And I'm like, yeah, I am. Someone was just interviewing Usher, and he was telling everyone to like believe in your dreams and go after your dreams and all this. And the person interviewing was like, well, do you think that's true for everyone? And he like paused and he's like, yeah, I do. Anyone who's achieved their dreams understands that they're just a human being having a human experience that believed in themselves enough to do the thing, right? So what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on believing in yourself enough to be uncomfortable enough for long enough to see what you're made of?
I mean, I just think we have to find enjoyment in the heart, in the pain. We have to find the value in that. We have to find the intimacy with
value in
ourselves in that. We
If you want to live a good life, you must suffer.
have to find the purpose in it. Again, like think about if you haven't taken action towards your dreams, whatever it is, if you want to lose 20 pounds, let's just say that. like has nothing to do with business. You want to lose 20 pounds. How many times a day do you think about your weight? How many times a day do you look at the mirror and not like the body that you see, or not be as active as you want to be? How much of that drains you? How much of that is uncomfortable? If you know that, and then you like really truly understand the difference between that, and you've let yourself actually go for it enough so that you understand what that discomfort even looks like, because so many of people are imagining the discomfort versus actually knowing what the discomfort is like.
Oh, that's true.
And have the two to compare. That's the game.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to be uncomfortable no matter what, be uncomfortable. Doing the
progress.
But I'm not uncomfortable. You're making an assumption that I'm not comfy just sitting on my couch doing nothing. I don't like it. I don't like this. I don't like it one bit.
Yeah. Progress moving forward, right?
But I also think that you can find peace even in big stretch goals. People have such a hard time with this, being okay with where you are and being really excited about where you're going. I think that was the difference for me. I didn't spend a year fighting the fact that I was selling mops in Walmart while I was trying to get clients, but I don't have clients yet. I just thought about, when I have clients, what will that be like? How will I get to feel every day? What will I be getting to do every day? So I spent a lot of time there. And I also would walk in every day and say, I choose to be here. I choose to be at Walmart today.
Yeah.
And here are all the reasons why. Here's all the value that I'm bringing in my life. So I do think you can have peace on the way. That's just what you're just calming your body down. You're reminding your body, I'm okay. I have everything I need right now. I love my life exactly as it is. And also I want this amazing thing that I'm really excited about that I think I could have.
Yeah. You know what just occurred to me? I think the reason why I'm at peace when I'm growing is because I know that I have my back. And I know that if I fail, I know that if it doesn't work out, I know that if it was a mistake, then I still got me. Like I'm still going to love myself and be kind to myself, and I'm not going to beat myself up, and I'm not going to tell myself that it was wrong and bad to ever go after any dream that I have the audacity to believe that I can do. And I think that's one of the purposes of my work, is to introduce the possibility that people can be successful. I can't tell you how many people will say to me, like, I never would have even considered that. I had a lady yesterday, she goes, I started listening to your podcast and I found out how much money women can make. She's like, I didn't know that women could make that much money.
Yeah.
Like, and she was literally talking about $100,000. Like, she was just talking about, like, nobody's talking about how much money. She goes, so I just doubled my salary because it occurred to me that I could. Right. And for me, that's like, so my work this year, what I'm really trying to focus on is, and I know you're doing the same work too, is like, how do we get people, first of all, and let's talk about it in terms of like life coaches who are trying to make their first 100K, right?
Okay.
The growth of that and the struggle of that and the discomfort of that kind of being that first step versus the discomfort of going from 100K to $1 million. Talk about the differences there.
So I just had this thought, although I'm having this discomfort a little bit right now, so it also can't happen at the $1 million level. But I was talking to my husband and I said this in passing, and I was like, I think this is a concept. I'm going to do a podcast about this. But I was telling my husband how hard I've been working, and I've been like really having to get a lot of sleep because I'm pushing my brain really hard, creating a lot of content right now. And we've been making a lot of changes in my business. And I told him, but it's a
I'm sorry. I've been having to get a lot of sleep because I've been pushing my brain really hard. Guys, I had to actually think yesterday, and now I need a nap. Like, what have you been doing this whole time, lady? Ugh, I hate this.
a worthy grind.
Ooh, hell yeah. It's a worthy grind.
It's a worthy grind.
Yeah.
I feel like you're on your way to 100K. It's a worthy grind. It is a grind.
It is a grind, yeah.
It is a grind.
That's the hardest money. Don't you think that's the hardest money you make? Your first 100? Yeah.
I've been trying to convince people lately to become millionaires because it's so much easier.
I mean, amen.
I'm like, if you're at 100K, you're working the hardest you'll ever work.
Yeah.
Truly.
Agreed.
Like, especially the two things.
As an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah. As an entrepreneur, likely at 100K, you're still doing sales calls yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't have high skills in marketing and selling and delivering your offer. You're still trying to come up with your concepts, your ideas. You're still trying to build your audience. You don't have a huge audience to be constantly nurturing to prepare for your next sales cycle. You don't have any of that. You're building that.
Okay, but can I just say that just because you're making, let's say, $1 million also doesn't mean that you're high skilled. It just means that you were like high skilled at delivering the actual service. Like, I could be a master manipulator and convince 1 million of you to give me $1. That doesn't mean that I'm actually good at the thing that I'm promising you for $1. It just means that I'm good at convincing you that I'm good at it, right?
as you
isn't
go.
your brain like the biggest bitch at that time? Like she just
Yeah.
won't be quiet.
Well, if you don't find joy in that process, right? If you don't consider it a worthy grind, if you don't,
Yeah.
I always tell my
like,
clients,
this isn't going to work. You're not going to make it. Nobody's going to hire you. You're not good enough. You don't know what you're doing.
yeah, I always tell them, you will look back one day and you will miss this moment. You never get your first 100K back.
100%.
You never get this grind back. And this might be something that you can relate to, but maybe not, because I feel like you're still really enthusiastic about it. But it's hard for me to read a book now and really be emotionally engaged in a way that, like, those first transformations, the first time you hear something.
I'm not totally engaged with reading anymore as much as I used to be. Like that is actually so fascinating.
Yeah, like I don't feel that like the moment I heard Eckhart Tolle's first book or Byron Katie or like all of that, it's like those where my brain was lighting on fire. You won't have those moments. You won't have the moments where the first dollars come in and you're like getting those checks. I got an actual $20,000 check in the mail one time from a client. And I remember thinking like, I just want to frame this, but also I want it in my account. But you won't have that excitement anymore. You will lose the excitement of being paid. There's a time where you are so deeply excited when your client gets a result. And then there will be a point where so many of them are getting results so many times that it's your reality and you don't get as excited about your results.
Or you reach a point where none of your clients are getting any results, and then you have to deal with legal repercussions, and that really sucks. So it's definitely not very exciting when you get another call from your lawyer, if you know what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm hearing. Allegedly. In my opinion.
Their results, the money you're making, the things they're doing, you lose that because it becomes normalized. So you have to know in the beginning, you have to enjoy it. You have to find a way to enjoy the ride, even the hard parts, and really do recognize that it's a worthy grind. It's the hardest money you'll ever make.
Yeah. I think that people don't want to grind. Like when you think about a grind, like I don't want to have to do this. I want to get to the point where I'm already there because then it'll be so great.
Only because
because why would I want to work when I don't have to? People don't want to do the grinds because scamming people and not having to do any work is just easier. Guys, why would I work a job where I actually have to work to make money when instead I could build a business where I convince you or sell you on the concept of you doing the work? I make the money, then I don't have to deliver on it. Obviously, that's better than actually having to go to work, right? That's what I'm hearing.
because you're discounting everything you're becoming in the process. You're missing all of that, all of the value, right? You're missing the experience of, I mean, it's like I'm almost at a loss of words of how to describe it. But when I am really, okay, I have a story. This is perfect. So we made millions of dollars with one funnel that I did for 2K for 2K. It was a 3 simple step training for 5 days. And then it suddenly stopped working. And I remember it's a very similar mindset to when I thought Facebook was singling me out and blacklisting me because they were denying all my ads. And I was in Facebook jail. And you had to be like, oh, Stacey, all of Facebook has just singled you out.
I'm like, they came out, they're coming for you. Yeah.
Yes. So I got in that mindset with my ads again because they weren't working. And there was a moment where I said, you know what? This is too hard. I don't need this in my life. Like, I'm just going to go market organically. My podcast gets a lot. My email list gets a lot. I'm just going to do the areas where I feel the most confident. And then I remember thinking, I always want to be able to tell myself I'm the person who never hits a roadblock and just is stalled and stopped. And that's it. Like,
yeah, I'm not a loser that just gives up. Like, duh. Obviously, if things aren't working, I try and try again. What's that? Isn't there like a kid saying that says something like that? If at first you don't succeed, try and try again. End quote, Stacey Bayman.
over, done. Like I've seen people, oh, I'm getting off Instagram because I keep getting shadow banned, or I can't get ads up and working. So it's never going to work. I don't want to be the person that runs into anything that's never going to work for me. I want to be the person on the other side that always figures it out, always finds a way.
I'm like, it was just the beginning. We're just warming up.
Yes. Yeah. But I want to be that in that moment. I have to access that person, how I want to feel, who I want to be after I figured out the ads. So I'm like, who's that person? That person's highly engaged. They see the value. They're super excited for the hard work that they put in. They're proud of themselves. They are experiencing themselves being more valuable, having more knowledge and skill sets because they went after it. Okay, if I want that to happen, I have to be excited for this. I have to get myself up for this race.
That's so good. And I think when you get there, right, you don't take your doubts so seriously anymore.
Yeah.
Like that was a lot of noise and you were wrong. Doubt. Yeah.
First time was a lot of doubt about Facebook for sure.
Here's for me, I've been thinking a lot about what you were talking about, that hunger, that drive, that ambition that I had to make my first $1 million.
Exactly. Zip says, having to make ads that aren't flagged as misinformation by social media companies is the real challenge in life. You know, Facebook tried to tell me I was a scammer, but I didn't take that and back down. No. I rewrote the copy so that they couldn't tell it was a scam, and then I reposted the ads so then I could stay rich, you know? Hashtag life hack. Write that one down. Grab your pens and papers, boys and girls.
And I think it was this idea that once I got there, right, it was like the anticipation of it, that like, could I actually do that? This is actually insane. Can I make $1 million in a year? And all of that. It's kind of like the anticipation of Christmas is better than Christmas. And what happens when you get there, right? What happens when you make your first $1 million in 1 year is you realize, and this is so disappointing for some people, that it's not actually better there than here.
Right.
But you are more of yourself.
Yes.
You've had to overcome all of the primitive brain thought error nonsense to get there. And so then the next, from like the million to more millions, or to continuing to making millions, is growth too, but the discomfort is different. You want to talk about that a little bit?
At the millions, that growth is more.
How it feels when you're going from 1 million to 2, it feels different than going to your first million. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just feels more logical.
Yeah.
I think you're just not as, like, that's the way I think about those 100K days, right? I was so emotionally engaged in that.
Yeah.
In that moment. Like when I'm in my mastermind, there are emotions for sure that we're processing, but it's a lot of just logical strategy. And I think that we love the emotional engagement. It doesn't feel as great in the moment all the time, but it is that thing that makes us feel more alive.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my experience. It feels more like the growth is a little more. I have to
But
choose
when you
really big
watch
goals
your
to get that.
students, when you watch your students, so when you're in with your group, with your 2K to 2K who are making some form of thousands of dollars, that is not their perceived experience, right?
Yeah. Well, you have to choose that, but yeah.
Right. It's like, how do we talk to our students in that growth?
What are they saying? I'm so lost right now. Sina says the first million is always the hardest. I heard her say, when you make 1 million, the logical next step is to just make 2 million. But like, what are they saying now? If people are only making 100,000, it's because their mind doesn't believe they can make 1 million? Is that what they're saying? I'm confused.
Without sounding like condescending. Oh, this is the best part.
But I don't think that anyone's ever considered that it could be the best part. I don't mean it to be condescending. I just don't think they've ever considered it. But yeah, I think their experience is like, I'm trying everything and it's not working. Like that's typically the first 100K experience, especially your first client, getting that first client. That's experience. I'm trying everything and I'm not working. And it is hard. It is. You're going to want to quit. I remember I had a coach that was like, okay, then quit. Let's quit. Do you want to stop coaching? Like, or do you want to quit your business today? Like, what would you like?
That's giving, who was it? DL, the woman that I interviewed on the channel, one of her clients reached out to me and said that they were on a coaching call with her and said like, hey, I'm thinking like I'm not making enough money. I need to like quit coaching, whatever. And her response was, well, then go get a real job. Then quit and get a job. And isn't Stacy DL's coach? It's all making sense now. The dots are connecting, guys. Somebody bust that pyramid out. We got to add some names to it.
Like,
That's
okay.
actually really interesting. I was coaching someone yesterday and she was like, I just haven't done what I need to do to make my business happen. And I was like, well, maybe you don't want a business. And she was like, oh, what?
That's how I reacted. I was like, oh, I'm not actually quitting.
Yeah. And I was like, I actually think that you should consider that, right? Because it's like, if you're not taking any action, you're not pursuing it, you're not showing up, and you're trying to get coaching on why you're not doing that, you should consider that maybe you don't want to. And it's either going to ignite you, like it did with you,
or relieve you.
Or you're like, oh, yeah, maybe this isn't what I want. And I think for me as a coach, I'm always like, of course it's what you want, right? Isn't this amazing? Yeah. This is great, but maybe it's not. Maybe that's not.
I also think it's helpful to just tell yourself this is the hard part.
Yeah.
And again, it just goes back to who do I want to be in the hard part? It doesn't make it any.
You know what? For me, listening to this is the hard part. And who do I want to be as I listen to this? Somebody else that's not here, to be honest. I'd rather be at the pool.
Easier, but who do I want to be?
Yeah.
This is going to be the truly difficult part, and it's temporary. And in this really hard part, how do I want to show up to it? How do I want to think about it? How do I want to be with myself in it?
Yeah.
That is everything.
Yeah.
I was recently telling myself that too. This is the hard part. The other thing I was thinking about is we are at a tipping point, me and my team right now, where we've been doing some really hard like grind with overhauling all of our technology.
We're at the hard part because people on Reddit are really starting to expose me for who I am, allegedly. And it's been tough out in these streets. I don't know. Again, I don't follow this side of coaching very closely, so I don't really keep tabs. Most of what I know about what's happening with Stacy and Brooke, I get from the Life Coach Snark subreddit. But from what I've seen in that space, apparently Stacy has been like more present than ever in her business in the last few months, doing like Facebook live streams, on Instagram every day, like doing all this stuff that maybe 2-3 years ago, when her business was kind of like at its peak, she would just let her team take care of, and she wasn't very like front facing. But allegedly, from what I've heard or read on the internet, recently things have shifted quite significantly to the point where like it's giving desperation, allegedly, is what other people are saying. Couldn't be me. I'm just the messenger.
Overhauling our content, setting my business up for a business that is ready to have another, so I can have another baby and fit 2 children in and run a company.
Yeah.
And we have really aggressive goals. I also just signed on as I don't remember what it's called, but I'm like an advisor. I like lose words now that I've been a mom. I don't know what the frick is
Oh
happening.
my God, wait till you turn 50.
Like they're just gone. I've signed on to be an advisor in a software as a service company with my CTO. And so we have a lot of really aggressive, exciting goals.
Yeah.
And there's the part that's really hard because you're fighting against it and not deciding 100%. Like you're taking action, but you haven't really committed to, I'm doing this. You're taking action to see how the action goes, to decide. It's like dipping your toe in the water. Let's see how cold the water is, see how I respond to the water to see if I actually want to go in. And then there's the part where everyone's working really, really hard, but really excited to do all of the work.
Yes.
Getting the failure, using it as feedback, going again, just giving it 100% of every single thing inside of you.
And I
amazing.
will say the key to that excitement and the key to being willing to bring it is the belief that you can. Whether you actually achieve it or not mattering. That's the part that people can't wrap their mind around. Because if you believe, this is what I say to Christian all the time, I'm like, if you believe that you're going to win the Masters, how do you approach this bogey that you just had? How do you approach the next hole? If you think you're going to win the Masters, if you truly believe that, the way you approach your life is completely different.
Guys, she said it. Delusion is the answer. If you don't like your life and you want to live a different life, just be delusional. You know what? Actually, my coach taught me this 6 years ago. She would get me, I'm sure I've shared this before, but every day she would get me to get my journal out and journal as if I had all the things I wanted so that I could go about my day as if I had those things. And you know what? It didn't work. So again, I say this so often, like I have no problem with, having a positive mindset, setting goals for yourself, trying to work towards those goals. But I think there's a fine line between like believing that if you work towards something, it could potentially happen, and believing that if you work towards something, like you're going to have it happen. It's giving the same vibes as this comment up here that says where did it go? I lost the comment. Yeah, following this logic, I haven't become a billionaire because I don't want to. It's like, just because you believe something could potentially be possible doesn't mean that it actually will happen. And while, yes, holding that belief is important, it's not magic, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make. It's giving, I just don't like it. Yeah, they're giving me Orange Clown Delulu vibes. Me too. Apparently, Monica, yes, you can go about your day believing you own the moon. That's what I'm taking away from this.
Then if you allow yourself to indulge in, maybe I'm not a good golfer. Maybe I'm no good at this, right? So for me, I just think, how do you keep going? How do you keep doing this? How do you keep showing up? How do you keep delivering? Because I know that I will arrive at the place that I most want to be. And I will have explored the deepest capacity within me.
But you're also just not fighting yourself the whole time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? The not being fully committed is what takes so much of our energy.
So why aren't we fully committed?
Okay, well, hold on. Let me answer this. Or let me say this first, because I think
go ahead.
would be helpful, is for everyone listening, if we're talking
Stop talking over me and let me just say this one thing first, okay? Thanks.
about a coach that's like trying to make their first dollars,
okay,
right? The other thing that's important to know is trying a little takes more energy than trying a lot. If you've heard the saying, a body in motion stays in motion, a body at rest stays at rest. So the less
Stacey
action,
Bateman, what did you just say? Say it again. Trying a little. What are you saying to me?
trying a little is a lot harder than trying a lot.
Come on. That is
You're Your body is in motion, your brain is in motion, everything is engaged, activated, your ideas are better, you're communicating more clearly. All of that is firing at the same time versus firing one thing here and there.
Genius. Oh my gosh. And once you've overcome the emotion to take some action, keep taking action. Once you overcome the doubt and the fear and the delusion, keep taking action. That is so good.
Like, I was driving all over the country, selling my mops. I would drive 6 hours to Michigan to go work a store, and I would be listening to personal development all 6 hours on the way up there. I would get up there, set my show up, maybe do a coaching call, work the rest of the day, do some coaching calls at night, sleep a little, get up in the morning, do some coaching calls in the morning, do a team call, show up to the store the next day. And I mean, I've never been so tired in my whole life.
Right.
And also, I was just taking so much action. There gets to be a point where if I even had a day off, I'd be like, wait, this is weird. I need to be doing things because I had just upped my energy so much that my body started kind of moving with me, and it could have moved without me. Like, it's just, the train has left the tracks. There's no going back. That type of action, people think it will create burnout. I think it creates momentum over momentum versus like little by little. I was a rip the Band-Aid off kind of girl. Like, I'm going all in.
Well, it just makes me like want to ask everyone the question, like, when is the last time when you really gave something your all? For me, that is such a delicious feeling because I like bumping up against the parts of me that I don't know yet. Like, for me, I'm doing this a lot in pickleball because it's like in pickleball, you can be at the back of the court and someone can like dink a ball. Like, they just like drop it right over the net.
Yeah.
And the space between here and there and the ball being dropped, like the chances of me being able to get that ball are very low.
Yeah.
And yet I'm going to try and get that ball. I am always going to try. And so is my partner who plays with me, Elijah, always tries. And we get so many balls that other people don't get because they just think, oh, I can't get that. That's too far away. I'm too old, whatever. And so we can play people that are way better than us. But because we give it our all every time, I think we feel like ultimately more satisfied at the end. And
I mean, I think hunger is a great.
Yeah, but do you actually get results? Does you just trying give you results? Are you getting better? Or you keep losing? I want to know. I want to know if having this positive mindset actually serves you for the outcome that you're trying to achieve. Or if you're just trying to gaslight yourself, like the title of this video, into believing you're having a good time. Because again, when I think back to my investment in coaching, I didn't get the results I wanted. I gave it my all. I did the exercises she told me to do in hopes that I would get the results she promised I would achieve. And when I didn't get those results, instead, I convinced myself for many years following this investment that it's okay. You know what? I got better tools to create a positive mindset and better ways of coping when things in my business aren't going well. But my business didn't actually grow from the shit that I paid for. So then it's like, are we actually doing ourselves a disservice if we're spending all our time trying to convince ourselves that this is good for us and that we're having a good time when we're not getting the results that we want? So if I'm playing pickleball every day and I'm giving it my all and I'm not winning ever, is that actually a good thing? Am I actually learning? Am I actually improving? Or have I just like gaslit myself into thinking that it's a positive experience because I decided it's a positive experience? I think that's what's missing here.
Emotion, right? To feel that. We just did a data study. I've talked to you about this, and we studied all of the income groups in our 200K mastermind that have ever come through. And the group that grew the most were the people who came in at 25K in 12 months.
Okay, I did a video reacting to her data study. There's a lot of flaws in it, in my opinion. She relies a lot on percentage growth and not actual monetary growth, which some people argue that is unfair that I pick on that. But I would go and watch that stream if you want to hear more of my opinions about that. I will try and pull up the link.
Months. And I've been thinking a lot about that. And I think it's their hunger. They're so hungry. They're willing to work so hard. They're willing to put their emotions on the line and give it their all. Like the ones that are successful, they're willing to you said this years ago, and I think about it all the time when I'm in a worthy grind, which is I want to lay my head on my pillow at night and know I gave it my all.
Yeah.
I want to use up all of me in a day, in a month, in a year, in a lifetime. Yeah. And thinking like this, I feel like I've lived 8 lifetimes in one. Because I've used up so much of myself. And so that hunger, that drive, that commitment, that willingness to lay yourself on the line and submit yourself to failure and rejection, that also creates the most value. It's actually the most inspiring to other people.
And it won't burn you out if the underground foundation is love and belief in yourself. I think a
Yes.
lot of people are trying to outrun their own self-hatred. I did this. I mean, listen, I hustled hard to try and lose weight for years, hating myself. That is not what we're talking about here. It's like the opposite of that. Like you're invested in caring for yourself and taking for yourself and like going to bat for yourself. And like, I'll tell you, like, I'm so appreciative of myself this morning going for that dink ball. I'm so glad that I laid it all out. And I'm also so thankful that I built this amazing business for myself too. Like, it just feels great. And I'm also so thankful that I tried so many things that didn't work, that I tried to build a hair salon and failed miserably. I just will never regret going all in on something.
Yeah.
And so
I think you have to like also know, will you regret it constantly if you don't go for it?
yes. And that's the thing that people don't consider. I think the cost of regret.
You know what I actually think is the cost of regret? The actual monetary cost that I spent on useless investments.
Of not seeing what you can do. And for me, when I look at all of our students, I look at you, I look at all the people, like it's so obvious to me how successful you're going to be. And listen, you're already crazy successful. 8-figure business is insane, but you're just like, I know that you're just warming up, right? And you're so young and just starting. Like I was thinking about this because initially we were going to talk about being a mom. And on this call, we were going to talk about being a mom and trying to build a business, which is such a worthy conversation, right? Because I started my coaching business when Connor was 2.
That's so crazy.
That's
My son is 2 now. Yeah.
right. When he was 2 is when I started my business and I built my empire business, my huge multi-million-dollar business while I raised 2 kids. And I will tell you, I spent a lot of damn time with those kids and went to all their games and all their meals and long hours of conversation. And they saw me working. They have memories of me on the couch with the laptop doing the thing and on stage. So I would love for you to talk about that a little bit. I know that you dealt with a lot of challenges with your postpartum anxiety and trying to run your company and take care of your kid. And what are your like insights on that now that you've had a baby?
Yeah. So I just didn't expect how difficult it would be, how like extremely difficult it would be. And I was actually thinking about this earlier today. I went through a period where I wasn't sure if I wanted to really like even work anymore. We literally talked about how much money could our money make and could we live off that money? And I went through a really hard time. I think a lot of that was my postpartum anxiety of just being really activated when I wasn't with my child literally 24/7. But it was really hard. And I went through a 2-year period of not being committed, not knowing what I was going to do. I think that there's a willingness too that you have to have of exploring your lack of commitment, like being willing to stay with yourself when you're ebbing and flowing. Like one day I'm all in and I want to make $30 million. And the next day I want to be a housewife and I'm trying to figure out how to put Neil to work. And I let that be okay for a really long time. Something I think that has been so incredible is your mentorship. You don't even probably know half of the things that add up over a lifetime of knowing you, like the short time, but it feels like a lifetime. But just like you building your business around Christian's golf schedule. The story you told a couple of years ago of you were working with a coach and it was towards the end of the year and they were like, hey, you can make a couple million more. And you were like, but why? Right. This whole mentality around it, you can grow. It doesn't have to be a hustle. So one of the things that has allowed me to kind of get through the river of misery of becoming a mom and dealing with all of the postpartum and everything has been, I know I can make the money the way I want to make it. I know that I can do that without, I have plenty of time. I don't have to hustle. I get to be with me.
I can make money the way I want, which is to, again, not have to work. So I can just do that. I'm going to launch a program. The entry fee is $50,000. You can send it to my PayPal. And for $50,000, you get nothing because I don't want to work. So I just decided now I'm going to be so rich.
Where I am in my journey. And I do love the idea of Jackson growing up, watching me build an empire. I think all the time about the value that creates in his brain every day. Now he's become obsessed.
Hot take. I think the days of building a coaching empire are gone. I think Brooke, maybe Tony Robbins still, but like this kind of coaches, Brooke Castillo, in my opinion, allegedly built the biggest empire that we're ever going to see. I don't think anyone's going to reach that level because too many people can see through it now. That I think it would be really, really, really hard to build something bigger than what she had built at her peak. And even her, like, I don't think she's ever, I think she hit $35 million in sales in 2020. I would be shocked if any other life coaching certification reaches that level.
he comes into my office without permission, climbs into my office chair, scoots himself up, and starts playing on my computer.
I love it.
And it's so sweet. But I think about what is happening in his brain when he's watching his mama do that, and also experiencing her be there all of the time. I get to have both.
Agree. This comment says, I'm exhausted. They really are doing things the hard way. Seriously, a normal, low glam, authentic business is way more relaxing and enjoyable than whatever they're full of fluff, busy boss girl, I can't even read it, busy girl boss empire is. I absolutely agree. I think that there's so much of this rhetoric online or like encouragement that in order to be successful as a business owner, you have to make at minimum 6 figures, but then you got to make $1 million, then you got to make multiple millions, etc. And as someone who's been self-employed for over 6 years now, I think for me, what has been most helpful is really thinking about what I value in my life and what's important to me. And while, yes, I need money to be able to like pay my mortgage and buy groceries, for me, like a certain number in my bank account has never been my motivating factor. Like I built a business because I wanted to have autonomy over my schedule. That was like my number one priority. So from the beginning, everything that I've built in my business is a reflection of the fact that I want to be able to dictate my own schedule. And so I just find it super interesting to see how many of these like girl boss hustle culture type entrepreneurs we see get so caught up in hitting that monetary target that I think they're willing to compromise on like other aspects of their life. Like this is all anecdotal, of course, but from conversations I've had with people, you know, you hear stories of people working 80 hours a week or having to get part-time jobs on top of running their business full-time because their expenses are so high they can't pay their bills. So many different things, or like this approach, I think, allows you to compromise on so many different things in your life that are actually important to you because you haven't taken the time to really think about like, what is the business that I want to create? What is the life that I want to create around my business? And while, yeah, I'm in a privileged position that I have been able to create a business that affords me the opportunity to have that freedom that I wanted, obviously I recognize not everyone has that opportunity. So I just want to acknowledge that. I just think that like, it can be really enticing to get caught up in the idea of like making a bunch of money. But if you're making a bunch of money while sacrificing the quality of your life elsewhere and sacrificing the other things that are important to you, that's when it can become pretty problematic. So if you're watching this, I'll get off my soapbox. But if you're watching this and you're a business owner, ask yourself like, what is actually important to me? And is the business that I'm making aligning with those things that are important to me? Exactly. Most people just want to live and be comfortable to live. Exactly. But I think that you're right. They're attempting to justify their high ticket pricing by making it look like they are busy hustling. It's actually less effort to do real work. Absolutely agree. Rodney Lopez just became a member. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here and joining the membership. Hopefully you enjoy your fun little emotes and early access to videos. Love to see it. Okay, let's continue. We're almost at the end. This has actually gone by much faster than I expected.
Yeah, I mean, I think about this too. Like the messaging that my kids get is that it's very important for me as a woman to have my own money and my own freedom, which is what I think being independently wealthy does for you, right? Like you have the freedom to make the decisions you want. And, you know, I work very hard and they watch me work very hard. And also, like Christian just had the experience, I think it was last year, where I was going to do a big mastermind. I had a bunch of people sign up for, not a bunch, 10 people sign up for a mastermind. It was going to pay me $1 million. I was going to work with a group of 10 and we had it all scheduled and all planned out. I think you were in it, actually.
Yes. That was one of the transformational things. I remember getting the email.
Sorry, this comment says, welcome, Rodney. You are part of the best container on the internet. And to that I say,
now you are one of us.
One of us. One of us.
Welcome to my cult. And I say that because too many people think I'm being serious. Guys, it's satire. I say this in every stream recently, but stop commenting on my videos saying that I'm a scammer. I'm just joking.
Email.
And I just decided, just so they know, I just decided like the timing didn't work where I could mentor and go to Christian's golf at the same time. Like there was just no way to work it out. And I remember I told my team, I'm like, we're going to have to cancel this mastermind. And they were like, what are you talking about? It's $1 million. And I was like, I don't care at all about the money. I'm much more struggling with this decision because of all the people that are in the mastermind that want my help. Like that's what makes this hard. But when it comes to being there for my kid or, you know, being there for my students, my kid's always going to win. And so he watched me like refund them all the money, not participate in that, and just be present for him. And I'm just like, I just think it's cool that he has a mom that like values him and his dream that much. I value my dream, and he's had to sacrifice for me to be able to have the business that I do, but I'm also going to sacrifice for him. So
yeah, when I was part of that mastermind, and when I got the email, I remember feeling obviously very disappointed, and because I love being in all of your containers.
Okay. Suzanne says, I would be so pissed if I signed up for something and they canceled it on a whim. I'm just really confused. At first, I thought she was talking about her husband, but I realized now she's talking about her son. So she had to cancel because her son's golf schedule conflicted with the mastermind. Why would you launch a mastermind without first checking that you have the availability to run said mastermind? That just seems really irresponsible. This would be like me posting on LinkedIn being like, I'm now open to take bookings for October, November. And then brands start inquiring with me and I go, oh, I'm actually busy. I can't work with you. Like, why are you selling something that you don't have the capacity to deliver on? That just makes you look bad, right? Like, I would also be pretty pissed because my assumption is if I'm signing up for something, you've checked to make sure that you can deliver it. Like I just did in the summer, I did a 6-week pottery class. So they sent me an email being like, we have 6 spots. I signed up. I did my lessons. Can you imagine if I signed up and then all of a sudden the next day I get an email being like, oh, we're actually, we're not running it. I get you're not running it if you don't have enough people, but like if it's full, what the hell? What? I don't get it. I don't get it.
But I also remember thinking, oh my God, this gave me so much permission.
yes.
And I've been changing my business now in a lot of ways to help me. You know, I'm so proud of myself that I did a live 3-day event, very pregnant, like 6 months pregnant, and while having hyperemesis, which is when you're just really, really, really ill your whole pregnancy. And then I also did a live event for 3 days on stage when I was 3 months postpartum, and that was so incredible and so inspiring for me to believe I could do that as a mom. I think we're conditioned that we have to choose and we can't do both. And so many people tell us we can't do both because we don't have enough time or enough energy, or it's going to be so hard. And I felt so inspired by that. But then when I was thinking of the next baby, I'm like, I don't want to put my body through that again. Like that I don't want to do that again. Like I'm glad I did it the first time. I feel complete. I don't need to learn that specific lesson. And I remember having so much permission from you doing that. And what's been crazy is that I changed my whole business around that has been the same for the last 5 years. And the amount of people that have reached out and said, I want to work with you now because of your example that you're setting has been humbling.
It's so amazing that when you have your priorities straight and you know yourself and you know what matters to you, that there's a strength in that nothing can touch. And it's challenging when you're a people pleaser because you don't want to tell 10 people who are so excited to spend the year with you that you're no longer going to do that because you want to watch your son golf every single game. And I will never regret watching every second of his life, like, and every single thing that he does. And I know that that's where my heart and my priority is. And also, I want to say this too. In other situations, I may not go see him do something and prioritize my business over that too. I don't think it's always the kids are number one priority in everything. So that's not what I'm saying, but there is a balance to that and knowing why you're doing what you're doing. And so I agree. And I love the way you've set up your business where, you know, your students can come and breastfeed and bring their kids and be moms and be where they're at. And like really you demonstrating that example that it is possible to have it all, really.
I still put Jackson down for almost all of his naps. I have 3 calls a week. We keep those the same always for consistency for the clients and for me. But all of my team meetings and all of that, we switched it around. First it was my breastfeeding schedule. Then it became Jackson's nap schedule and his wake windows. And my team is so great, but we're flexible. And for anyone that is kind of struggling in that, I want this growth, I want this next thing, and I have this other competing priority. The other thing that's really helpful to me is I am very clear what my priorities are, right? My son will always come first. And also I decide how many hours I'm going to work. I give that my 100% all when I'm doing that. And as soon as I'm not, I'm all in with what's going on with the family. And then because I do that so frequently, because I have that consistency built where I know I'm going to work when I say I'm going to work, and I get the work done that I say I'm going to get done, if Jackson pops in my office, I can stop whatever I'm doing and look up to him and acknowledge him and say, hey, you know what? Like, let's keep this conversation going. You know, if it's my team or whatever, like, let's meet back in another hour. I'm going to go hang out with Jackson or whatever. I can be that flexible because I take myself, my timing and my priorities so seriously.
Yeah. And when you work, you go to.
But you know what I don't take seriously? Client deliverables. As long as I'm happy, I'm happy. I don't care if my clients aren't having a good time. That's not my problem. That's just their bad mindset. They should probably pay me money so they can work on that. That's what I'm hearing.
Work too.
Yeah.
And for anyone who's kind of like, I don't know, it's like, I think you just have to ask yourself really great questions. How can I have an incredibly successful business where I'm serving humans in the best way I can and raise my kids and be the mom that I ultimately want to be with them while having fun is a question that I ask myself. And your brain will find that answer. It really
Something
will.
I recently asked myself was, after Jackson is like, once he's in school and he's gone most of the day, or once he leaves the house or my future kids leave the house, who's the woman I want to be? And do I want to wait to start that later or now?
Ooh.
Right? Do I want to just be figuring that out? Then that's been something that I don't know if that's going to be helpful to people, but that's something that's been really helpful to keep me engaged in my business now when I want to be there all the time, 100% for every single waking moment. I'm like, well, also, I want to be left with me.
Yes.
Completeness, even when.
And that's an example to set for them. I mean, listen, I made a lot of mistakes in my life and raising.
Oh my God, this comment is so good. Having a 9-to-5 is a great way to work when you're at work, but be present with your family when you're at home. Yeah, like growing up, both my parents had like normal jobs where they would go to work while I was at school and then we would come home. And you want to know what we did every night? We had dinner together and we hung out as a family. Great work-life balance, let me tell you. The secret is to get a 9-to-5.
My kids, I'm sure that they would say that. But I do feel like my kids got to see that like they are very important and very valued, but so am I.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what they saw. And they saw me valuing myself and my work and my contribution and also them. So
yeah, it's an
I could keep talking to you for another hour easily. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
So welcome.
And this conversation and letting me switch the topic on you. And you just impress me. I just love watching you live your life. I think you're a huge inspiration to so many people. And you're definitely one to me. I love you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. All right, my friends.
Great point. So this comment says, if you don't achieve success after paying me $2,000, then it's your fault. But if I don't want to work because my kid is playing golf, well, then I can cancel because I'm the boss. And I'm doing what's right for me. The contradictions are just astounding, truly. Suzanne wants to know, what did we actually learn? Nothing. I actually, to someone's point earlier in the chat who said, like, this podcast has no structure. I have so many thoughts. For those of you that don't know this about me, I used to host a podcast for about 5 years. And I had a detailed list of questions that I would send to people before they came on my podcast so that we could avoid situations like this where you're just rambling forever about nothing. Like, I get that, like, sometimes there are certain podcasts I listen to, like pop culture ones, where I would just listen to an hour of two girlies yapping about, you know, the latest episode of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. That's a lot different than something like this that's, you know, supposed to be educational, supposed to hopefully feed people into your funnel to get them to buy from you. For me, this is doing nothing. And maybe it's because I see through it. Maybe if Danielle of 2018 had listened to this, she would have thought it was awesome. But me listening to this now, I'm like, what was the point? What did we learn anything? I didn't learn anything because there were so many contradictions that they would say one thing and then say the opposite. I'm just confused, if anything. I learned that one should maybe take a nap before doing a podcast. Honestly, that's not a bad idea. Also, don't drink too much coffee before a podcast. True. Even yappy podcasts have a general direction. Exactly. Like today, we're going to discuss XYZ. This was like, today we're going to talk about literally nothing. Yes, Duped is a great podcast for those of you that are not familiar. Okay. Exactly. At least a theme. Like it could be about time management or boundaries. It says growth and peace, but I'm not sure I learned anything about either. Yeah, I don't even know. They were just talking, like, I've also blacked out whatever they were talking about. All I really heard was don't waste your time sitting on your couch. Do whatever you want. That's my takeaway. If your son has golf, cancel all your plans. They literally just hit the record button and made it up as they went along. That's the vibe I'm getting, honestly. I love to see it. Okay. How are we feeling? What's going on? What do we think? That was all I had planned for today, but I got some time to kill if we want to look at something else. Hold on, I'm trying to get to my list. I have a list of like content ideas. Let me see if one of these, I had another like Stacey Bayman podcast episode in the queue. So let me just see how long it is. If we want to do another episode. Okay. Oh, it's like an hour. That's a little bit long for my liking. I'm working my way through the list. Just hold on a sec. Thanks all. I'm now completely turned off of the coaches coaching coaches, so we'll be safe for another week from accidentally spending $10,000. I think I lost a lot of brain cells. You and I both. Okay. Let me see what else I have here. What is this? Nope. Okay, how long is it? Okay, I got an episode here from a woman who Stacey Bayman interviewed this woman on her podcast, and then but that's not the episode. That episode's an hour long, but that woman that she interviewed has her own podcast where she interviews someone else. This is like Inception. She interviews someone else, and the episode is titled 5 shifts this person made going from $52,000 to $135,000. So if we want to listen to that episode, we could do that today if people are interested. And if we enjoy it, maybe next week we can listen to the hour-long episode from Stacey's podcast. But let me know in the chat. Or if you guys are sick of me, that's fine too. We can wrap it up. Or you can just leave me hanging and I'll just sit here and stare into the camera and wait for nothing. Do, 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 do. I'm trying to see what kind of fun sounds I got here. Monica says, let's go. I love to see it. I love the enthusiasm. Sounds good. Okay, let's do it. Let's frickin' do it, guys. Hold on. I forgot what I was doing for a second. All right. Looks like we're down to clown, so let's do it. Bubba is still very much asleep. As you can see, we'll just move him down here. More useless blabbering. Okay, crank it up. Let's go. Okay. So again, this episode is called 5 Shifts Holly Made Going from $52K to $135K. In this episode, we will discuss what shifted when she made her 6-figure offer, how she leveled up her marketing and lead management, why the systems she made sales helped her sell out with a waitlist and create the foundation for a group coaching program. Let's go. Hillary says, let me guess, all 5 steps boil down to believe in yourself and act as if. Well, 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 if we didn't just spoil the whole podcast episode in one little comment. I guess we're about to find out. Oh no, I can't hear it.
Hello, everybody, and
Okay.
welcome to a very special episode of the Six Figure Systems podcast. I have my amazing client Holly on here today, and she is going to be telling you all about 5 shifts that she made, going from $52,000 a year to $135,000 in a rolling 12-month period.
And again, I will mention that this was submitted to my reaction form. That's how I found it. So if you have content you want me to react to, it's linked in the description of this episode and every video that I put on my channel.
Period. Her story is truly amazing. So Holly, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Go ahead and give us your number breakdown, and then we'll get into your shifts.
Thanks, Megan. I'm so excited to be here today. So I'm Holly Smeebog, and I started HMS Career Coaching in 2018, sort of inching along, and met Megan in 2023 after following her eagerly for a little while. So in 2022, I made 52,000. In 2023, 83. And right now in 2024, so at the end of June, I'm at 85. So hit my number from last year. Feeling so grateful and pumped about it. Admittedly, work went into it, but a lot of it is thanks to Megan.
Okay, so where is the 135 coming from if she's only made 85? Are they just doing the math to the end of the year? Because that's still not, that's what?
Thank you, Megan.
Oh my gosh, of course. And like we were just doing the numbers, we were going through, and your rolling 12 is $135,000. So from end of June to 2022 or 2023 to end of June 2024, you're at $135,000. And I just want to like celebrate you. This is incredible. I really do think that this is such an example
Okay, she answered my question. Thanks, lady. Thanks for that.
of what's possible for so many people who are listening to this episode. And I wanted to talk about some shifts that we made at your business right at the beginning when we started working together. I think it was July of 2023. And one of the things that we shifted and the things that we're going to go over in this episode are we're going to talk about the difference having a 6-figure offer makes. And then we'll talk about the difference that you can make in your marketing, in your sales while you're managing leads, and then getting into planning. So we're going to go through all of this like.
Okay, so let me get this straight. This woman started coaching with this coach about a year ago is what I'm hearing. And now this coach is going to take credit for all of the growth that this woman had in her business, even though she's been in business for multiple years and presumably was probably on some sort of, upward trajectory based on the numbers that she herself shared at the beginning of this episode. But now the coach is going to take all of the credit. Interesting. Love that for her.
I guess secrets about how you got there. And we're going to get through and just go through each of those different pieces and think about how you can start, as you're listening to this episode, I want you to start thinking about your business in the way that Holly was able to think about her business so that she can make these shifts. So really amazing. And first things first, let's get started talking about what were the things that shifted when you made your 6-figure offer.
Good point. So before we started working together, I was selling career coaching services to people sort of bespoke. So on a consultation, I would listen to them and then I would, explain how I could help them. But every offer was basically different. Maybe I was saying 6 weeks or sessions or, a few months service, but it wasn't a very clear defined offer. And that was probably just the most amazing shift in my work.
Yes. I mean, like, because I was there too. And I think a lot of people like, they hear about one offer and they feel like it's going to be like bad for their clients, or they think that, I mean, for me, I wanted to make sure that everything was customized, but I found that I was working all of the time and it wasn't consistent enough for my clients either. What was the shift that like when you you shifted from HMS Career Coaching, which was the bigger brand, and then you actually started the Career Fulfillment Accelerator, which is a 3-month coaching program. What did you feel like you were working more, less? Like what kind of shifts happened from there?
I feel like I spent a little bit more time on the back end, thinking about how do I really serve people well. And then with your help, we really came up with, the pillars of my service and what the typical career transition process includes and how to get clients to that end result. And then reflecting on the clients that I had, I realized the average time it takes to affect real change for somebody is 12 weeks. And so I translated that, into the 3-month program and started talking about that in a way it provided so much more clarity.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we actually didn't talk about before we started recording, but one of the things that I think is so important about this is if you are trying to scale your business to your first 6 figures and then also scaling to multiple 6 figures, you want to have a proven like, process that you take your clients through, something that you actually get what's called proof of concept, or it's proof that like what you teach actually works. And I think that starting that with one-on-one is so helpful because then you get incredible reviews, you get amazing testimonials, you get people that are renewing with you, and you get referrals as well. So for you, I think that not only you doing your process at a one-on-one level, but it also allowed you to now shift your offer and create your course. So do you want to speak to like kind of like how that came about?
Sure. I found
Exactly. That's what I'm hearing. Suzanne says she had an offer, she iterated it, and now it's selling, and this other chick is taking the credit. It's like, okay, so I opened a business and I tested a few different offers, and now I found one that works. And that's to your credit? Sorry? My camera battery's going to die, so I'm going to go black for a moment.
I guess at the beginning of this year, it was kind of a goal to fill my schedule, but then my schedule was full, and that was great and crazy. Okay, there's demand. How can I serve more people? And sort of move also into the B2B market. And part of that is taking this process and developing a course where I can be on the side as a coach, serving groups of people as they're going through the course, the same process that I work with people one-on-one through, but groups working together. And in fact, there's a lot of benefits from that sort of peer work as well.
Yes. And I think that so many people are so tempted to want to start a group right away. I think they want to start a group. I think they want to get into like, they're like, I love coaching groups of people. This is so fun. I can't wait to have like a group of like 50 people or do a course where I just like, I don't even have to be there. They can just buy this course. Why are you glad? Like maybe this is kind of like a leading question, but like, why are you glad that you started with one-on-one? And were you ever thinking about like doing other things while you were doing one-on-one coaching?
Was definitely thinking about doing, open coaching groups, like either on LinkedIn or Facebook, and thinking about that, like being a face where more people could come in and ask questions. But as I really, defined this process and saw it working, and, it's a 4-step process, and some people spend different amounts of time in each one. So it is really individualized and customized, but the whole thing as an umbrella concept really works to shift people.
Okay, I'm curious. Has anyone here ever worked with a career coach? And maybe I'm completely like misinformed, but I always thought a career coach was someone who would help you like improve your resume, work on interview steps, help you get a fair salary when you get a job offer, like negotiation, or like if you have a job, they help you to get a promotion, like learn those kind of skills. How do we coach that in a group setting? Like if I'm hiring a career coach, let's say I apply to a job and I really want to get this job, or I want to apply to this job, I hire a career coach to help me have the best chance at getting that job. Wouldn't I want customized like one-on-one support? I'm just confused how this could be done in like a group setting. Am I getting coached by other clients? I don't understand. A little bit of a side tangent. I'm just thinking.
So yeah, the course, I think, having seen so many individual people go through it and have success. So working one-on-one for all that foundational time gives me the confidence to know, okay, if this course is developed right and it's good and I'm putting good content out there, people will get results walking through it. And that's what I love.
Yes. Well, and so I think like that's the first shift as everybody is like listening to this podcast to have a 6-figure business. I think starting with a really solid 6-figure offer that you feel really confident about, making sure it's scalable, but also like making sure that you get proof of concept with one-on-one is like a huge shift. So again, that's like, if anyone's listening to this, you're trying to get to your first 6 figures, that's like the first shift we want to make.
Absolutely. Hillary says, I love how this host is acting like she invented the one-on-one to group to course funnel. Literally anyone who is a coach or online service provider starts this way, right? Like you start by offering a done-for-you service, one-on-one typically. Then once you get enough clients, sometimes, especially in like the business coaching space, you get so overwhelmed with the number of one-on-one clients that you open a group program. Then the group program is so successful, you make an evergreen course. Like, this is something that all of them teach, and I don't understand why this woman is acting like she invented it. Okay, so they do group hot seat coaching, so you get less support in a group. So interesting. I feel like if I was going to hire a career coach, I would want to work with them one-on-one. I don't think I would get the, like, I don't know. I'm skeptical that a group setting for career coaching would be as effective as just like hiring a mentor, but I don't know. I've never hired one.
And then when we are thinking about the second shift that I think that all six-figure businesses have is having marketing on, like, very consistent marketing, making sure that's a focal point of your business. How did doing six-figure systems help your marketing to kind of help you scale?
Boy, and that was a part, it was hard for me to make that shift. I definitely was sort of unorganized in my marketing and, I'd see an article and think, oh, I can repost that and offer some content. And most of
Sorry, I keep pausing. William, hot seat coaching is when, like, you're in a group. So, like, let's say we're all on Zoom. I would pull one of you into the hot seat where, like, you would be able to talk to me one-on-one and ask your questions. It's very common in, like, group coaching settings.
of my clients were coming in through referrals. But with marketing, really using your calendar to plan out what, the flow of the messaging, and then also when I was going to do the work allowed me to, basically set aside time on the weekend or, one night a week to think about all the marketing from the big picture, do the things, and then sit back and sort of watch the results.
Yes. Well, that's the thing that I think when we're thinking about marketing, I was this exact same way. Like, when I first started my business, I was just kind of like on a Tuesday morning, I would just wake up and be like, what do I think people need to hear? And it was just kind of like, okay, I guess I'll post about that today, which is a great place to start. If that's where you're at, again, amazing, great place to start. But if you're scaling to six figures, having a plan and being like, okay, I actually can see the bigger picture for like what I want my month to look like, what I want my year to look like, what are the key pieces I need to be hitting, I think is really a piece of what takes a business from a multiple five-figure business or like just getting started to a six-figure business for sure. Because now, like, you've got a brand, like, people know of HMS career coaching, and they're not just friends and family, they're not just referrals, it's like it's more than that, which is really exciting. And something we were talking about as well is we've heard comments about the market of people who want coaching being saturated, and I don't feel like that either, and I want to hear your thoughts about that too.
I don't see that at all. I feel like coaching is really growing in awareness and in people, it's kind of still a really new market for most people. And so I get a lot of consultations through Google searching for coach, career coach, life coach. And that, that steady flow really proves to me that the market is very strong.
I totally agree. And I think that, like, as all of us, as we're service-based businesses, I think that just our economy overall, I think is going to flourish so much more as we shift. I think that there's still always going to be product sales that are going on, but I do think that service-based businesses are growing in demand. And I think that the key difference is if you position yourself and you've got really clear, if you're like, there is a need and I'm filling it with my service, which I think that you have done really well. I think that I've kind of created a market for systems. I think it makes your marketing so much easier. And I also think that
I actually created the whole market for systems. So, like, people who had businesses and were just selling things with no strategy, I'm the one, I created the systems. Not somebody else. It was me. I created it. I invented the idea of packaging your offers in a way where one offer leads into the next, leads into the next. That was me, actually. I invented business in general. Entrepreneurship didn't exist until I invented it. So why? Because I said that's the case.
clients are going to find you because there's a need that you're filling. So I want, as people are listening to this episode, I want you to think about, like, yes, you are an amazing expert in what you do. You're an amazing service provider, but also how can you fill a need? How can you be an expert in your industry that people are seeking? Like, what is the problem that you are solving with your business? And how can you make it so crystal clear that you are the solution for your audience? I think that is going to be the shift. And I think that's what you've done really well. So
A lot of feedback that, people come to my website and they look at other
I fixed it.
people, they Google career coach and they look at 5 websites, and some people like what's on my website, some people like what's on the other one. So, in a crowded, if market, there's still a need for you.
oh my God, I love that. Yes, so agree. And speaking about like the market, so you got the marketing, right? You've got all these people that are coming in, and then they get on. Let's actually go to managing leads. Let's talk about that for a second. So, like, after people see you on your website, after they see you on Google, maybe they see you on LinkedIn, maybe they're seeing you on Instagram. What do you feel like you've learned in six figure systems to help you take people from like seeing your big marketing to actually becoming like a lead and managing leads? That's like another pillar of like what I feel like having a six figure systems business is all about, is like having leads and actually making sure that you're bringing people in.
Oh, that's a good question. And one of the things that's been really helpful that probably transfers to lots of steps in the process too is sort of automating things that don't need a personal touch. So, I set up a book a free consult in the back end of my website and then on my business software. And then you helped me with, lead messaging.
Oh my God. I can only imagine how much money the woman on the right charges if she's a client of Stacy to learn this stuff. Like, I actually kind of feel bad for the woman on the left because the things that she's talking about are so basic, in my opinion. And I mean, I have the privilege of being in my early 30s. I grew up sort of like with the internet as the internet started to take off. I was able to adapt with it. So I understand that sometimes there's like a generational gap. And I say this like having spent the last week with my dad, who I had to like teach how to delete and unsubscribe from different emails. I understand that like things that are obvious to me might not be obvious to everyone because not everyone spends their whole life on the internet. But I'm just thinking like I'm feeling bad because if this woman, presumably on the right, again, I would guess if she's a client of Stacy's, she's charging multiple thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars for her coaching. If this is the stuff she's teaching people how to do, it's not worth that amount of money, in my opinion, because you could Google it. You could look it up on YouTube for free, or you could pay like a systems expert, probably significantly less. In fact, I can refer you to a few of my friends who are systems experts who could set this up for you as a done for you service where you wouldn't even have to do the work yourself. They'll do it for you. And it would still probably cost you less than it would to hire this coach. So I'm just saying, it makes me feel kind of bad for this woman.
So when people are making an appointment, they learn what to expect in a consultation call. They get follow-ups. They have a form to talk about what to expect in the call. So it's an automated process that allows me to spend time doing the important things of then preparing for the consultation.
Suzanne says, didn't this episode promise 5 steps? Where is step 1, step 2, etc.? Talk to me like I'm 5.
Which is huge. And one of the things that I think is really critical, like you mentioned, you're getting a lot of referrals, but then it's also about when you're thinking about managing leads, there's like the nurturing your current audience so you continue to get referrals. But then there's also doing outreach to build your audience, to find new people that are like interested in you. And because now you booked out your one-on-one, you have actually hired other coaches to help you with all of your one-on-one clients. Like that's how booked out you are, which is incredible. Now you've been able to start doing outreach to other businesses. Can you tell us like kind of like what that has been like and how we've kind of like structured that up for you?
Well, I mean, one of the things that I try to do is keep networking on my calendar. So I call it networking, but it could be really different things, going to women's business events locally, attending online workshops, career cafes where other coaches get together, any place where people and business owners might be. I write articles for the business journal nearby. I have a little Ask a Career Coach column in the local paper, and I've gotten several leads from that. So kind of spreading my wings in different areas.
Nice.
I think that's great advice. I'm not going to like crap on the whole episode. When these people say something useful, I will give them credit. I think if you're a business owner and you're struggling to get sales or leads in your business, networking is a seriously underrated tool. Even if you're not struggling with sales and you just want to like expand your network, go to different local events and meet people. I've made some of my best friends by going to events like this and just like meeting people.
Stepping out of my comfort zone and doing the uncomfortable thing of talking to strangers. So you should try it.
Which I think that like a lot of us, like as you're building your business, I think I heard another coach talking about like how your biggest asset is your brain, and the more creative you are, the more successful you'll be as a CEO. And I think that like as you guys are listening to this, you might not think about any of these ways to manage leads, like you might be like, okay, my only way to market is to like post on social media. And I think that that's really, really important and valid. But for me, I was the same way. I was like, I need to get out of my bubble and I need to find new people. So like I actually just did a post about this, but I reached out to 102 different companies and organizations in January of 2021, and only 6 responded to let me do a presentation for them. But I utilized that and I did like multiple presentations for some of them. I like used those to get like other speaking opportunities. Like I just had to get like really creative. So if you are trying to grow your business to 6 figures, I would highly recommend getting creative, getting out there, putting yourself out there to as many people as possible in as many weird and not weird, but like different ways as possible. And I really do think that that's like a huge component of building a 6 figure business, is not just like nurturing the leads that you have with like content on social media, but getting out of your audience, finding new people, building relationships, and it's going to take you places. Just like really exciting. And the next place.
You know what else is going to take you places? Joining the billionaire tier. Come and network with us in the billionaire tier. As per Suzanne, information is linked below. Just click the join button. Come be my friend.
We're going to talk about is like the third or the fourth pillar of 6 figure systems is the sales call. Like, and I think this is what I really wanted you to speak about on this podcast, because I think that your sales calls just went from good to great. And I want to hear what your experience was with like the consultation blueprint and like the conversion blueprint and all the things that you've experienced with that.
Good point. So, I mean, one of the things about working with you is that you show up with really positive, great energy. And just from a foundational level, that's something I've really tried to internalize. Like, you know, when I get on the call with a consult, just really thinking about, I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to serve this person. I'm so curious. I'm, you know, so enthusiastic. They really need help. I'm here to help them. You know, lots of positive energy and just complete curiosity. And having, you know, AI meeting notes where I don't have to take any notes at all, is a side note, really helps. But then we worked so much at the beginning on what my pillars are. So what I'm really doing with clients and how I'm achieving results for them. And so it became so much easier to, you know, go through a consult and really ask them about, where are you today? And then, you know, think about, okay, let's, you know, quantify that a little bit if we can. And then where would you like to be? Like, what would be a great outcome of coaching together? And then have them start feeling, you know, something really positive inside from a feeling of discomfort, and starting to think, well, I'd love to have a new job, or I'd love to just have a plan, or I'd love to do something totally different in my life. And then talking about, okay, well, when we start coaching together, this is how we're going to help you get there. And then getting through the pillars that we have worked together to define, it just became so much stronger and fun.
I am so glad. Like, and the thing that like I think that people worry about like with pillars, or like having like a set structure when you're thinking about your offer and having like key components.
I agree. Suzanne says the lady in white actually seems very genuine. 100% agree. I think that she, to me, again, allegedly, this is my opinion, I just feel sadness because it feels like she's been taken advantage of. But again, I'm not going to project my experience onto someone else. That's just what I'm seeing here, because she seems like a really nice lady. Wait, building a bridge. What did I miss? What did I miss? I need to go back. I keep zoning out while I'm listening to these people because I'm like, what?
I'm so curious. I'm, you know, so enthusiastic. They really need help. I'm here to help them. You know, lots of positive energy and just complete curiosity. And having, you know, AI meeting notes where I don't have to take any notes at all, is a side note, really helps. But then we worked so much at the beginning on what my pillars are. So what I'm really doing with clients and how I'm achieving results for them. And so it became so much easier to, you know, go through a consult and really ask them about, where are you today? And then, you know, think about, okay, let's, you know, quantify that a little bit if we can. And then where would you like to be? Like, what would be a great outcome of coaching together? And then have them start feeling, you know, something really positive inside from a feeling of discomfort. And starting to think, well, I'd love to have a new job, or I'd love to just have a plan, or I'd love to do something totally different in my life. And then talking about, okay, well, when we start coaching together, this is how we're going to help you get there. And then getting through the pillars that we have worked together to define, it just became so much stronger and fun.
Okay, I don't personally think that is problematic, the like imagine your future piece, if she's going to actually coach them on how to get to that future. I think when I take issue with it, like I was talking about earlier, is like the coach that I worked with would get me to write down, what my imaginary best case scenario future life would look like. But then she never actually coached me on like what it would take to get there. It was just straight delusion of like, believe and you can achieve. And I don't know this woman. I don't know what her coaching programs are or what's involved, but it sounds as though she's getting you to think about, like, I want to quit my job and become a firefighter. Okay, what would be the practical steps that are going to get us there? If she's going to actually coach you on how to achieve that outcome, then I think it is useful to have this, again, like I talk about, have a vision, set goals, work towards achieving those goals, but I want the coach to actually work me through the process of achieving those goals. So I think that's kind of the difference. I'd love to send her a library card. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, so this comment says she spent so much she can't admit that she hasn't learned a damn thing. To me, it sounds like she has learned stuff. I just think she's significantly overpaid for the things she's learned, because all of the things that she's brought up so far are things that I know for a fact you could find on YouTube for free. And if someone wants me to send them the links, I will send them the links to videos that teach all of these things.
I am so glad. Like, and the thing that like I think that people worry about like with pillars or like having like a set structure when you're thinking about your offer and having like key components. So for instance, when I had the Career Fulfillment Initiative, which is similar, that was like the similar name, but definitely a different program.
Mm-hmm.
I was like talking about confidence, burnout, time management, work-life balance, and long-term plan. And so those were my pillars of my six-figure offer. So when I was talking about this kind of thing,
Okay, this whole time I thought the woman on the right like had something on her face, but I guess she's wearing like an invisible headset. I don't know. I find it really distracting.
what I found to be really, really interesting was that I took consult calls and I was like, where are you at now? Where do you want to be, before I made the Career Fulfillment Initiative? And I would have people talk about like everything under the sun. Like it was just like anything and everything. And I find it really amazing that like you're still bringing in like C-suite executives and people who are working UPS, and you go through the same process with both of them, and it creates such a cohesive flow that I really do think builds trust. I think it really, like, people think that like having a structure is going to stifle their ability to reach other people, and I think it actually creates more trust than less. Like, that's my opinion. What do you think about like that piece of things? Like, has it been helpful to like kind of when you're thinking about your offer, being able to have those pillars as kind of like a foundational point?
Yeah, I'd say that once you do your homework and get everything well defined, then you can also infuse your personality, and you don't have to be really stiff. It can be more fun to go through that. And I had someone just the other day saying, oh yeah, I worked with one of my competitors, and they were very aloof. And it just made me think, okay, I guess what I was thinking about, well, how am I coming off that's not aloof, and it's personable yet effective. And he also said in the same conversation, this sounds like just what I need. So like score. But so it that combination of really knowing your stuff and then feeling confident enough to be yourself.
I love that. Oh, and I really do think like if you are growing your business to your first six or multiple six figures, having a system for your sales where you feel super confident about it is just going to help you so much, because then you can take that system and then you can make it that you go through with your one-on-one clients. And if you want to start a group and you want to have a membership later on, it's like it gives you a really strong foundation, and you can use that same structure on a webinar. And that's what we're going to be doing for you in the future. It's going to be awesome. Last but not least, the last pillar of, I feel like, and the last shift that you made to have a 52K business to 135.
What were the first 4 pillars? They weren't actual, what? 5 shifts. It's just like 5 things she did in her business. 1, create an offer. 2, offer it one-on-one. 3, make a group program. 4, record it as a course. 5, whatever she's about to say. Like, this is so silly.
5K business, like, so cool, was the planning aspect of things, and like really creating a system around your time and managing it well. I want to hear about like what kind of shifts you made as you have become a powerhouse in the career coaching industry and a six-figure earner.
Well, I think that we talked about in the fall, you asked me, well, what do you want next year to be like? If you think about your year in quarters, what would be a great way, what would be good for you and good for the business? And I thought, okay, well, I was interested in starting the course, and also, have a daughter going to college and friends coming to visit overseas in the summer, which is all.
Thank you so much for the e-sticker. It says, e-guitar player sent a coin with a star. Thank you so much. I hope that you get super rich by tomorrow. Millions of dollars. I'm manifesting it for you.
Always really busy. I thought, I want to have some time when I can focus on the course, not be crazy busy with one-on-ones, and just be, around for the family. So I don't want to have too many clients in, July and August, and I want that to be downtime. So I'm really focused on first quarter, second quarter, and fourth quarter for the earning. And so we talked about, what does that look like numbers wise? How are we going to make that happen? And then, basically
step 5 is pay this lady. Agreed.
We scaled up a bit on pricing when the schedule was full, and then sort of
there it is. How did I make more money? I just scaled up my pricing. I'm just gonna watch that again.
First quarter, second quarter, and fourth quarter for the earning. And so we talked about, what does that look like numbers wise? How are we going to make that happen? And then basically scaled up a bit on pricing when the schedule was full.
Oh my God, this is giving the same vibes as, how much money do you want to make in a year? Divide it by how many months of the year you want to work, how many days of the week, how many hours in a day, and that's how you get your hourly pricing. No, it's not. Do not do that. It is unethical to base your pricing on how much money you want to make versus what you're actually giving to the client, allegedly, in my opinion. I fucking hate anyone who gives this advice. I hate it.
And then sort of worked with the other coaches, brought on the other coaches to take off a little pressure. And now I'm building the course and have a little downtime to see that through. And here I am looking at July tomorrow, and it's just laying out magically. So thank you so much.
Oh my God, of course. I literally just that's the biggest thing that I want people to hear, is that you can have a 6-figure business and you can have a life. It doesn't have to be either or. You just have to think about it in a really strategic way. For me, I also want to have a really wonderful summer. I want to travel. I think I have 14 trips planned this year, maybe more. And I'm traveling right before my launch. I think I have 3 more trips in July going into August. So yeah, I'm going on 3 or 4 more trips throughout the year. It's going to be wild. It's going to be so much fun. And I think that that's the thing that people think, if you are a CEO of a big business, you have to sacrifice things. And I want to let you know that you absolutely do not have to. It really can be, you can have both. And that's the thing that I really think that systems have helped me.
Yeah, this is a great question. Does it have to be 6 figures? What is the obsession with making 6 figures? And I get, if you live in Canada or the US right now, we're in a cost of living crisis for sure. 6 figures is not what it used to be, even 4 years ago. But what is the obsession with 6 figures? Is it really necessary for you to make 6 figures to live comfortably and be able to do all the things that you want to do? I genuinely want to know.
Fine, and I'm really glad that you found that too. So really, really excited for you and all of these amazing things. I within the 6-figure systems mastermind, that's coming up in August. The enrollment's going to be open, and I know many of you listening to this podcast might be thinking about it, or if you're listening to this podcast later on, you might be thinking about joining the 6-figure systems crew. I want to know, what would you tell somebody who is thinking about joining? Do you have any comments and ideas for them that you could add?
Sure. I mean, I would say, I give you the highest recommendation because you know your stuff. So that's the real baseline of your service, is that you've got the 6-figure systems, you've really dug deep on perfecting them, they work.
The 6-figure system is the same thing that every other coach is going to teach you. Start with a one-on-one service. When you book out your one-on-one service, increase your prices, introduce a group program. Once you fill out the group program, launch a course. I just saved you all $20,000 because I told you exactly what you're going to learn. Okay? Okay. We're not going to listen to the rest because I'm assuming it's just a testimonial and then she's going to promote her program. So really glad that we did that together. That was fun. If you guys are interested, maybe next week we can listen to the podcast episode that she did with Stacy on Stacy's podcast. So you can let me know in the comments. If you're watching the replay, let me know. But here in the live chat, you can also let me know if that sounds good. I'm just taking this out of the list so I Don't get confused. Yeah, that was fun. That was kind of a waste of the last 30 minutes of our lives that we're never going to get back, but I appreciate you all for suffering through it with me. This whole podcast was a sales call for her mastermind. Yes. And they were going over everything you're going to learn in the mastermind, which again, allegedly, in my opinion, is all things you could learn elsewhere on the internet for free or low cost. Again, just hire a person who specializes in systems automation. I can pretty much guarantee you'll be able to find someone cheaper than what this mastermind will cost you, and they will do the work for you. Another ride. Whee! We had fun. Bubba had a really good time. Whoa. Hi, guys. He slept the whole time, so we love that for him. Just like in the words of Stacey Bateman, get more sleep because you're working too hard, or whatever she said. Something to that effect. It's our duty to expose these people. I hate it here. So much fun. I hate it here too, as you can see by my beautiful shirt. Merch is now live. You can find it down below. I ain't hiring no one. Had fun. Love to see it. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. I'll be back again next week, and hopefully again sometime before then as well. So if you had a good time, be sure to give this stream a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you want to see next. You can drop stuff in that reaction forum as well. Bubba is busy manifesting the life of his dreams. Quite literally. Okay. Take care. Comb your hair. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!